I'm here at a Tesla Supercharger with my Cadillac LYRIQ, and I'm going to show you the particulars about how to charge here. I'd like to say welcome to my fellow LYRIQ owners to the Tesla Supercharger network. I used to drive a Tesla Model 3 as my daily driver, and there is absolutely nothing in parallel to the Tesla Supercharger network. The reason Tesla has been able to drag the rest of the global auto industry by force into electrification is because of the Supercharger network. If it wasn't for this, none of that would have happened. And they have been absolutely relentless in the deployment of these stations throughout the United States, and is the only network that spans continents. The Supercharger network exists in Asia, in Europe, North America. You can go to Mexico using the Supercharger network. Here in North America, it's all standardized on a single plug called the North American Charging Standard, or NACS. In Europe, it's standard on the CCS2 connector type. So you can go just about anywhere. If you want to go to the Grand Canyon National Park, Supercharger network right there. And it's not small. The smallest Superchargers typically are 8 stalls, and they go up from there. There's one on the drawing boards right now that has 96 stalls. Electrify America in my town of Charlotte, North Carolina has one that has 10 stalls, which is very large for an Electrify America, but that is just on the small end for the Supercharger network. As you can see, let's see, this is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. 12 stalls with 3 power bricks. There's a very in-depth technology video on DC fast charging authored by Brandon Flash, where he goes over the intricacies of DC fast chargers. Now I'm going to try to make this video focused on brevity to make it a reference tool for the future, because we're all gaining access to the Tesla Supercharger network here, and people may need to refer to this in order to get a refresher course on how to charge at a supercharger. But still, if you want a in-depth technical analysis of DC fast charging, I'll link that video down below in the description. In that video, Brandon mentions the Tesla Supercharger sites he considers to be a master class on DC fast charging. The technology that they use has been perfected over years of iterations of improvements. They were going very fast with their deployment, but it wasn't fast enough for them. So what they did is they made preformed castings in order to put manufactured dispensers onto a concrete slab, put that whole concrete slab on a truck, bring it over, drop it in, connect all the connectors up, and move on to the next one. Very highly efficient, cost-effective means of deploying DC fast chargers, and the ability to load using the charging infrastructure among the dispensers has been perfected and nuanced over many iterations of improvement. So this is top of the line globally. Nothing is else like it. So to all my LYRIQ owners, welcome to the Supercharger network. Okay, a couple of things we need to go over first. You'll notice that these pedestals do not look like the iconic Tesla Superchargers. These are newer models of dispensers called version 4. Now the chargers are not version 4, so the whole site's not a version 4, but these dispensers are version 4. This is important. Version 4 dispensers have longer cables by 3 feet. The version 1, 2, and 3, which are the more iconic dispensers, have shorter cables. The reason they have shorter cables, they were designed for a specific purpose, which was Tesla cars getting electricity, and their charge port doors are all standardized in a specific location. Here the LYRIQ, it's in the back of the front driver's side quarter panel, which is problematic because it's a bit of a distance. Now I stopped at a version 3 supercharger prior to coming here just to see what it would look like in order to test the cable length. And as long as I inched all the way into the parking space, I was able to get the cable to reach. This video is just going to be charging with a Magic Dock. I'll do a subsequent video on charging a LYRIQ using the adapter at a later time. And once that video is available, I'll link it down below in the description. But these are version 4 dispensers with the longer cables. When you're charging at a Tesla Supercharger with a non-Tesla, you could only charge at version 3 and above. So version 3 and version 4. Version 2 was using a charging standard unique to Tesla, but they changed that to the common standard called CCS once they started doing version 3 and version 4. So the Cadillac LYRIQ can only charge at Tesla Supercharger stations that are version 3 and above. And you might ask, well, how am I going to know? And it'll say whether or not your car is compatible or not with the given supercharger station. But another way of noticing is if it says 250 kilowatts capable. If it says 150 kilowatts, that's a version 2 supercharger. If it says 250 kilowatts or more, that's a version 3 or above. So that's one easy way of finding out which is which. So the first thing you need to do, and I recommend doing this prior to even coming to the site, is set up the Tesla app on your mobile phone. You can download it from the App Store, and once you get it installed, when you launch it, assuming you don't already own a Tesla, it'll bring you to a screen that says charge your non-Tesla, which is basically what we're going to be doing here today. When you select that, it'll show you which stations are compatible for your non-Tesla. And then you just use it like any other charging networks app in order to charge. It's pretty intuitive, and I'll go over the process here in just a second. But also remember, you have to set up your payment as well. So go in there and choose which method. You can use Apple Pay, or you can use a credit card. And once that's set up, you're ready to go and get to the Supercharger site. Okay, we've set up our app, and now we're going to a Supercharger. When you get there, what you're going to want to do is pull as close as you possibly can to the pedestal. Normally they have these bollards to protect the equipment, but you'll want to get as close as you possibly can because of the cable length. Those V3 Superchargers have those short cables, and I found when I went to that V3 Supercharger, I had to go as far forward as I possibly could, right there, in order to get the cable to reach. And unfortunately, there are going to be locations where the bollard is going to prevent you from getting into a good spot. The design layout of these stations varies. So there are going to be cases where that's going to happen. And at the one that I went to, it was newly installed, and they had these other stalls off to the side that looked to be prepared for non-Tesla's charging, because they were not really pull-in stalls, but they were twisted sideways and allowed people to go in. Tesla Superchargers normally have one pull-in stall. The problem with those is it's designed to have the port back here, so it's in the wrong place. You could use those, but you'd have to leave the back of the car sticking out of the parking spot in order for that to work. So those don't really solve the problem. The other choice is to go sideways, and basically you'll block 3 stalls in doing so, but it's better than not getting a charge. And most of the time these Tesla Superchargers have a couple of extra spaces, so if that is needed, I'm sure the kind-hearted people who are Tesla owners are not going to complain. I found that most Tesla owners are fellow EV enthusiasts, and they're happy to help in any way they can. They're not very protective of their equipment. They're very warm and open people. So I don't think you're going to have a problem with that. So let's go ahead and get connected and get charging. Okay, so you can see that the price is 50 cents per kilowatt hour. And then I just choose my post number. I'm 2C, and it says unlock adapter. You push up and pull down. And this adapter is what we as General Motors customers are going to be given shortly, which will allow us to charge at other Tesla Supercharger locations that are V3 or V4. This is a Magic Dock location, so the adapter is kind of built in. Once you release the adapter, you just connect it, unlock adapter and plug in, and let's see if we are charging. Initiating charging. And there we go. Well, that worked pretty easy. All right. Let me bring you inside and show you what it looks like on the inside of the car. One thing about the display of the Cadillac LYRIQ, it doesn't really show how many kilowatts you're receiving. Unless you go over to this section of the screen. Let me see what it looks like on energy. You see it says 108 kilowatts. Yeah, I know. Yeah, so this number right here is somewhat reflective. I think that is also taking away the fact that my HVAC is on and I'm consuming energy that way. But that's somewhat of an indication. But you can see we are charging. And didn't have to do anything funky with the parking spaces because this is a V4 dispenser with a nice long cable and no problems whatsoever. All right, so there's 3 ways to disconnect this. You could press the button here. Up here on top of the Magic Dock is actually the alligator clip lift button, or you could stop in the app. I'm going to do the alligator clip button on the Magic Dock. Let's try that. There we go. And out it comes. Then you just put it back in the dispenser. Hear it click in place, and you're all done. So there you have it, charging a Cadillac LYRIQ at a Tesla Supercharger. I hope this video was informative. Thank you very much for watching.